Hi, Laura.
Hi, Tom. Welcome into my unread library where I've read the book and you haven't.
Yeah, kind of spits in the face of the name, don't you think?
That I've read it.
No, unread library.
Oh, yeah, you haven't read it.
Well, yeah, that's true. But you have.
It's true, but there's a whole library out there of unread books, and they all need to be read.
Do all of them really need to be read?
Yeah,
There are some that don't.
you're probably right.
I can think of a few off the top of my head, but I'm not going to name them because they
Okay,
don't need to be read.
you're right. Okay. There's definitely a lot of books that need to be read that shall be read,
hmm
such as The Secret History by Donna Tartt.
Donna Tartt.
Yeah.
That's I feel so bad for her.
What?
If she lived in Britain and had that name, that's so unfortunate.
Donna Tartt?
Yeah, it's like a word for a stupid person
Oh.
that British people say.
Well, I actually looked up where she was from, and it's Missouri because in the audiobook, which she narrated apparently, which is pretty cool, she pronounces horrible as horrible, which is something my grandma does from growing up in like New York.
Uh-huh.
Horrible.
Horrible.
So I was like, is she from New York or something? No, she's from Missouri, so I'd have no idea where the accent came from.
Hmm.
Well, anyway, The Secret History is a classic dark academia novel.
Hang on, we're gonna go back a minute.
Oh,
I was
okay.
wrong. Tart is actually, it's slut shaming.
Oh, great.
Yeah,
Okay, well, her last name is spelled Tartt, if it matters.
I don't think it would change much for the children of Great Britain.
Okay. Well, as I was saying, The Secret History is, as I understand it, one of the founding dark academia novels. It made waves. It's
hmm
very well known and well regarded. You may recall the other dark history novel we have read, Babel.
I do enjoy a good dark history. It is
Hmm.
part of why I listen to a murder podcast
Indeed.
because they give a lot of good historical context.
Indeed.
It's nice.
And this isn't even a spoiler. There's murder in this novel.
Whoa, like a flock of crows?
No actual murder.
Ooh, well, that's
Mm-hmm.
also an actual murder.
Hush. The first thing that you learn in the prologue is that someone and their friends are partially responsible, perhaps, for a guy's death in Vermont, and it was ruled a hiking accident, but it wasn't.
Ooh,
When I read prologues in the beginning of books, I often have no idea of what's going on, so even though I think looking back on it there was more detail in the prologue that you could pick up on, I didn't understand it at the time, so I'm not going to tell it to you.
that feels unfair. I really enjoy foreshadowing that is given in prologues and stuff like that.
Oh, don't worry, there's there's a lot. So,
Uh-huh.
also, as part of this hiking accident slash murder, there was a large manhunt for it because there was a big snowfall right after that covered it all up.
Gasp.
So,
So the body was never found and was
well,
frozen and preserved to this day.
I didn't say all that. Anyway, so our narrator, his name is Richard. He is telling this story from his late teens slash early 20s, and he's currently 28.
Okay.
So he's telling us a story, and he grew up in California. He had kind of a depressing childhood, poor. So he studied ancient Greek while in college, and
Okay.
he was in college for pre-med, but he wasn't that good at biology, so he switched to literature because he was good at Greek. Okay. So he switched majors, and then he switched universities out to Hampton College in Vermont.
This is so far rather relatable.
Switching majors, not being good at biology.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, hopefully you'll find the rest of the book not as relatable
Yeah,
because
hopefully.
it gets wild. So he goes to Hampton College, which is a small college specializing in the arts. He gets in with a scholarship.
Mm.
So,
Seems like he's pretty good at it.
uh-huh. So he wants to sign up for ancient Greek. And he's talking with an advisor, but the professor is apparently very particular. The classes are very selective, small, closed in. This professor apparently donates his entire salary to the college and takes $1 per year for tax purposes.
That's
Wild
got to
guy.
be some form of tax evasion.
Well, so Richard goes to visit this professor to ask if he can take his class.
hmm
And he says his class is full. What is full? 5 students.
Right.
Right. Okay.
This is like the Futurama bit where the professor's teaching a class and he like named it some crazy thing like the physics of quantum neutrino fields.
Hmm.
And then he's like, no sane student would ever sign up for that. And then Fry, the dumb main character, he signs up for it because that's what the professor's teaching.
Yeah, he's like, oh, I know this guy. It's good.
Yeah.
All right, so we're not taking Greek because he says you can't go to the class. We're taking French instead. All right, so for the
Lame.
yeah, right. I know how you feel about French.
Yeah.
All right, so for the first couple weeks of term, we're just in classes, and Richard is like watching this professor and his 5 students.
Okay.
They're odd. He just like watches them around campus.
Well, yeah, it's already an odd group.
Yeah. There are 4 boys and a girl: Francis, Henry, Bunny, whose name is Edmund, but we call him Bunny, Charles, and Carmilla.
The boy is named Bunny.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Well, his name is Edmund, but they call him Bunny. I don't know why.
It's interesting.
Yeah. So
I was expecting Bunny to be the girl when you first said it.
Oh no, Carmilla's the girl. Don't
Carmilla.
worry.
That's a weird callback.
Yeah, to Carmilla the novel that we just read.
Yeah.
Indeed.
Interesting. I wonder if that is at all.
If there are vampires in this novel.
Well, I mean,
You never know.
you
Well,
never know.
one day Richard is spying on them in the library. They're
Uh-huh.
discussing a translation because they all take Greek. And Richard pipes in with some obscure rule to help them because he did take Greek previously.
Hmm.
And they were like, oh, yeah, that could work. So that was pretty cool. And apparently they had heard he wanted to take the class but wasn't allowed. So one of them says, ask the professor again. He might let you in this time.
Wait. So they didn't at all care that he was just eavesdropping on them?
No.
They are an odd bunch.
All right, so Richard wants to make a good impression, so he blows a bit of his scholarship money for cufflinks and nice shirts, and then goes to see the professor again, whose name is Julian. And these kids all call him Julian, so I'm just gonna call him Julian, but he's the teacher. So while Richard is talking with Julian, he tells him about California, a lot of stuff. Seems like Julian is really good at like prying out information,
Okay.
like the psychology of it all. But, at the end, Julian is like, okay, you can take my Greek class. You are to drop all of your other classes except French and take 3 to 4 classes with me per term. Things like Latin, poetry, classics. Julian says that having too many teachers is confusing.
I mean,
And
it'll really let him focus on the Greek.
and his current advisor doesn't think it's a great idea.
Well, I don't think it's a great idea either.
Because
but...
it doesn't leave him with a lot of options if it falls through, because Julian and his kids are so secluded from the rest of the campus.
Yeah, I will also say this is reminding me of the internet post that I read one time where the person was like, yeah, so I have a friend who was an Egyptology major, and because they couldn't end up getting any archaeological jobs, they ended up going for their doctorate to become an Egyptology professor, which in their case means that their degree was literally a pyramid scheme.
Well, this degree is in the classics,
Uh-huh.
supposedly, whatever that means. So, also, Julian apparently does not usually take on poor students.
Interesting.
Oh, well, we're going to pass right by that red flag. And Richard switches over. All right, so first day of class, which is a few weeks into the term, so he has some catching up to do.
Uh-huh.
And one of the students, Henry, is he's grilling Richard on how big of a classicist are you? Have you read Plato? Have you read all of these poems? He's quite snooty. So,
Who hasn't read at least a little Plato?
well, yeah.
Come on.
And Richard has taken some Greek. So, but he's definitely not as snooty as Henry. I don't think anyone's as snooty as Henry.
Okay.
All right,
Not
so
even Julian?
what?
Not even Julian?
Oh yeah, Julian's as snooty as Henry.
Maybe snootier.
Maybe.
He only likes... he doesn't like poor people.
Yeah.
So, that's pretty snooty.
Yeah. So Julian lectures about sense of self, civilization, the Greek idea that terrible things can be beautiful. It's
Mhm.
kind of a trippy class. And overall, not that important. So anyway, Bunny invites Richard out to lunch. So we're meeting our new classmates.
Gotcha.
But before we go out, we hear that from our roommate that Henry and the twins, they met them once at a party, and they're douches when they're out and about. By the way, Charlie and Carmilla are the twins.
Okay.
I think I did not say that before.
You did not.
All right, so
Not that I remember anyways. We all know how bad my memory is. I have a very approximate knowledge of many things.
Indeed.
Just like that one character from Adventure Time.
All right, so Bunny takes Richard to a fancy schmancy restaurant. He's
Mm.
obviously rich. He's also kind of homophobic to their waiter. Yeah.
How does he just clock this waiter as gay?
He just,
He just knows.
yeah, but like, it's not even like he's talking to the waiter. He's just saying, like, oh, those people, and like kind of icky things, and the waiter is like tensing up. Yeah.
I think that this character might be gay.
Well,
Not the waiter.
all right, so Bunny and Richard are getting drunk.
Uh-huh.
They're having a great old time at lunch.
Yeah.
And we learn from Bunny, that Henry is a total nerd and also a snob about it, but he's also huge and jacked. Like, so. And we hear about Francis for the first time. Apparently, he's lazy. So, Bunny then said he forgot his wallet. Oh, Richard, can you pay? And Richard's like, I don't have money on me. And Bunny's like, use your credit card. And Richard's like, no. So, Bunny calls in Henry to pay. And he does. So Henry comes in to pay for their lunch.
These are the worst kind of people. I forgot my wallet.
Well, the funny thing is Bunny paid for the taxi. So, like, he definitely didn't.
Yeah.
So Henry tells Richard this is a trick Bunny plays often by racking up a big bill and then forgetting his wallet. Yeah, quote, forgetting. All right. So the next day, Charles and Carmilla invite Richard over for dinner. And it's actually everyone. Henry, Bunny, and Francis arrive for dinner as well. So we have a nice dinner. And it's fine, but Richard feels kind of inadequate because everyone's like super close because they've been in the class together.
Yeah.
And they're all super nerds as well. And again, Richard is behind because he transferred halfway through the term. And he's like, was this a rash decision? Yes, Richard, it was.
Richard,
Yes.
you're being a dick.
So he goes to talk to Julian about it. He's like, can you help me catch up? But instead he spies on Julian and Henry speaking first. And Henry is like, we're going to do what is necessary. It's kind of vague.
Okay.
Kind of spooky. All right,
I feel
so...
like you just brushed right past my very funny joke.
Sorry, what was it?
I said Richard was being a dick.
Oh, yeah.
I can't. Thank you for laughing now. I appreciate that.
You're welcome. I got you. All right, so at the end of the week, Richard goes to a plebeian party that his other friends wouldn't be at because they're snobs.
Uh-huh.
And he's chatting with a girl who says that the other Greek students are creeps and they worship the devil. And Richard replies with, the Greeks don't have a devil. What a snob.
He's not wrong, though.
Yeah.
They probably worship Hades.
Well, we shall see. Because Francis and Carmilla come to find Richard at this party. And he's like, what are you guys doing here?
How'd you know I was here?
Great question. But they invite him out to the country for the weekend, to Francis's summer family mansion.
They're doing what is necessary.
So, yeah, we go to this mansion. Maybe it's like an hour drive or two. And the others are there, and they all just get drunk all weekend. They're out in the boat. They have a great time. One morning, Henry and Richard both have a quiet insomniac morning,
Mm-hmm.
where Henry sees a bit more through Richard than he thought. Like, maybe, like, he kind of knows he's not rich. I don't know. He's kind of observant. So then Richard is reflecting on the rest of the term. Bunny's death and murder, Richard's poor people habits, Richard's and Bunny's hikes in the woods. Huh?
Huh?
Sorry, what was that?
Hikes in the woods. Her death habits?
Bunny's death and murder?
What does that mean? Who said this? This wasn't Richard, was it?
Richard is, like, reflecting on the rest of term.
How does he know about this? Where did he learn?
Well, he's telling us this story from he's 28 and he's telling the story from when he was in college.
Yeah, but when did he in college learn about that? Reflecting on it, or is he reflecting on it now?
He's reflecting on it in like as his present self.
Okay, so that's where I got confused. I thought that he figured it out very early on, and it wasn't.
Oh no, Bunny
now.
hasn't died yet. Don't worry.
Her death and murder his death and murder habits.
Yeah.
Sorry, Bunny is a dude. I
Yeah.
keep forgetting. But that's
So that's interesting.
Bunny and who else was hiking through the woods?
Richard and Bunny, they hike in the woods sometimes.
Oh, so Richard did it.
Well,
Richard committed the murder.
I don't know.
That's what this is sounding like.
Well, we're gonna move on because Bunny has a girlfriend, Marianne. She's sometimes part of the plot, but
Oh, she's gonna die so hard.
No, Bunny's gonna die, Tom.
Why not both?
Why not both? Well, so they spend many a weekend at Francis's house. Sometimes Julian comes by for dinner as well.
Mhm.
And Richard starts noticing hints about something weird that's going to happen at the end of term, but he has no idea. They all hide it so well.
The dark ritual must be completed.
Uh-huh. But the five of them, including Julian, are like they're often secretive and like accident prone. They comment on the weather a lot. They're like, what is going on with these people?
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Like, for example, they are kind of weird. Like, one day Carmilla steps on some glass, and Henry's a surprisingly good field medic for some reason.
Interesting.
And Richard, he chats with Charles about how Francis and Henry could easily buy the house, like the summer house, and they could all live there together. None of them really need to work because they're all trust fund babies, except
Uh-huh.
Richard. And Henry just wants to write and study in peace. He's kind of going to college just for funsies.
Yeah.
Yeah.
As most people studying the classics are.
Yeah. So it's the end of term now, the end of the first fall term.
Hmm.
And he decides to spend his winter holiday in Hampton and working because his parents don't really want to see him, and he's poor, so he needs to work. Oh, by the way, Richard has a little crush on Carmilla.
Of course.
Okay. So over the winter term, all of Richard's friends leave, and he lives in some guy's unheated attic while working in the psychology department.
Great.
And it's unheated and winter, so he gets like chronic hypothermia from sleeping in this freezing attic.
Get more blankets, dude.
Like, well, yeah. So he like spends all of the time he can on campus working, loitering around, but he still has to sleep there.
Yeah.
And he thinks he's been hallucinating Henry around campus, which is weird because he thinks that Henry and Bunny went to Rome, went to Italy. But then one day he does actually run into him, and Henry takes him to the hospital. Turns out Henry came back early from the trip. So,
Wait, why is Henry taking him to the hospital now?
because,
Oh, the chronic hypothermia?
yeah, Richard is like hypothermic. He also has pneumonia.
Oh, great.
He got really ill from sleeping in like the freezing weather, like the roof, like snow was able to get into the attic, like
Yeah, that's bad.
yeah. All right. So
Basically homeless.
yeah. So Henry has Richard stay with him for the rest of the holiday. And that's good. To be like, you're not going back to that attic. So Henry maybe definitely knows now that Richard is poor.
All right.
So they're chatting a bit. For example, about Bunny. And now he's not a scholar. He doesn't really fit into college. I think he's like a few years behind and he's dyslexic, so he kind of struggles.
Yeah.
And he would probably be better off working with his hands. But speaking of, Bunny arrives the weekend before term starts.
All right.
So we're just gossiping about him. And Henry seems kind of peeved and shoos Bunny off.
Hmm.
Those tombs always seemed like thick as thieves. But next visitor, Francis, comes by, and Richard overhears him and Henry arguing about something. We don't know what. Richard eavesdrops a lot.
I've noticed.
And then Henry calls over Bunny, and Richard moves back into the dorms. So, dorms have opened back up. It's almost spring term.
Yeah.
So, Richard meets with Julian, just like before the term starts, and he says that Henry has headaches and likely came back from Italy early for his health. Because,
Yeah, his financial health.
well, and his physical health, maybe.
Maybe.
And we haven't seen the twins at all yet. And then one night, everyone's being cagey. Richard runs into Bunny, and everyone is just weird and tense. Bunny says Henry isn't what we think. And Richard is like, is he gay? Huh. Henry does pay for a lot of Bunny's stuff, but Bunny's like, those guys are, like, there's something wrong with them.
Oh, so Richard and or not Richard, Henry and Bunny have been boning.
What?
They've been in a relationship this whole time. You know the people who are the most homophobic are the most gay.
Well, I don't know if Bunny is saying Henry's gay, but Richard is like, is that what he's implying?
Uh-huh.
You don't know. But Richard realizes when he moved into the dorms, he forgot a book at Henry's house. So he goes over to get it and sees a random number on a piece of paper, because this is like the 80s and they have to like collect call and everything.
Yeah.
So he decides to call this random number.
Why?
I don't know. Richard's kind of crazy, honestly.
I've noticed.
And it's a lawyer's office, and then he finds out about 4 one-way plane tickets to Buenos Aires.
One way.
One-way tickets. Are they moving to Argentina? I don't know. Well, Bunny and
Why
Richard.
are there only 4 of
There's
them?
only 4 of them. So Bunny and Richard are chatting again. Like, they haven't seen Francis. They don't see anyone at all that weekend.
Mm-hmm.
And Richard's like, are they even going to be in class on Monday? Because the flight was, like, over the weekend. But they are all there on Monday.
All right.
So Charles and Carmilla say they weren't there over the weekend because there was a mix-up of their apartment key. So they were at Francis's country mansion. But Richard is like, I called the mansion and no one was there. No one answered.
It's like, yeah, we ignored you.
Maybe.
We were busy.
Well, Richard is chatting with Henry, who knows that Richard knows about Argentina. Because I think when he was, like, calling on the phone and the plane operator was like, you're confirming the tickets to Argentina? And Richard's like, yeah. And Henry's like, well, yeah, when they called to say I had already confirmed and I called to cancel, they were a little confused. It's like, uh-oh, Henry caught us.
Uh-oh.
Well, apparently they did not go to Argentina, clearly. Henry's being kind of sussy about why he left Richard the key to his apartment. Like, did he want him to find it? And, like, apparently the timing was bad for when he went back for his book. Like, maybe he wanted him to find out, maybe not.
Okay.
Uh-huh.
This is getting very convoluted.
Indeed. Well, apparently they didn't have enough money to go long term. Because if they had gone to Argentina, they wouldn't have come back. But they didn't have enough money for that.
Okay.
So
who is they? Is this... Who are the 4 people who are supposed to go?
Henry, Francis, Carmilla, and Charles.
Bunny.
Bunny is not.
Bunny is not. Okay.
Yeah. So, like, that weekend before class started, when Bunny and Richard were chatting about how they haven't seen anyone around, and it's, like, weird.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Who is Charles?
We haven't talked about him a lot yet. He's Carmilla's twin.
Right. Yes, thank you.
Yeah.
You did mention that before. I just forgot because he isn't brought up a lot.
Mm-hmm. Well, anyway, so Richard and Henry are chatting, and Henry's like, I mean, yeah, you have been kind of covering for us because he hadn't told anyone about the plane tickets.
Mm-hmm.
And because, like, they were basically planning on fleeing the country.
Yeah.
And Richard is like, did you kill someone? And Henry's like, yes.
Why?
It was an accident.
Let's back up a second. First of all, Richard, who asks that?
Richard does.
Richard, what is wrong with you?
It's a great question. Richard has some issues.
Second of all, it was an accident?
Well, apparently.
Henry's immediately honest?
Yeah, I'll tell you about what Henry keeps saying. Would you like to hear?
Yeah.
Okay.
What?
Well, so Henry says they had been attempting some weird ancient culty ritual where the divine takes over. It's like some Greek thing. They were trying to invoke Dionysus. And
Okay.
in order to invoke it, they have to, like, fast or revel. There's, like, preparations for your mind. And apparently Bunny wasn't into it with all the fasting. So by the time they did it successfully and it worked, it wasn't with Bunny.
It worked?
Apparently. Henry says it was charged with sexual energy. Maybe they had an orgy. And that they saw
definitely had an orgy.
and they saw Dionysus and they were frolicking through the woods all night and Carmilla transformed into a deer and Charlie had a weird bite mark that was not human. By the way, Francis is here now. He has joined this conversation.
They did so much LSD.
They did so many drugs and had an orgy in the woods, basically.
Yeah.
But maybe they invoked Dionysus. Who knows? They say they saw him.
That's not real. That didn't happen.
Well, anyway, so Henry says they beat a guy to death that they ran into in the woods.
So it was an accident.
Uh-huh. Well, he didn't
Really?
mean to.
You didn't mean to beat a man to death. You kind of have to try to do that. I hate to break it to you.
Well, Henry says it's weird because he remembers punching someone, and then suddenly there's a dead body at his feet and there's brain matter all over. And Carmilla, we find her a bit later and her hair is coated in blood. So yeah, they beat this guy to death while they were high off their butts on drugs.
Yeah, I hate to break it to you, but that does not, that doesn't, like, work in a court of law.
Well, maybe that's why they were considering fleeing the country.
Yeah.
And Richard's like, oh my god, why didn't you just go to the police if it was an accident? And Henry's like, well, it kind of looks like a cult slaying. And I'm like, well,
Kind of?
was it not a cult slaying?
It was. Straight up.
He's like, college students high as heck, out of control. So anyway,
Yeah.
Henry and Francis tell Richard all this. What's the problem? Well, Bunny knows, apparently, and has been blabbing about stuff, like joking about the murder. So Bunny didn't participate, but he knows.
Bunny, what is wrong with you? Oh my god! I,
Maybe you understand why they wanted to kill Bunny.
they're going to kill Bunny. It's gonna happen.
Yeah, so Bunny accidentally ran into them on their return back from the incident, so he's known all along.
So
And this happened in like November, and
he
now it's
saw them just covered in blood
Yeah.
and brain matter.
yeah. So this happened in November, and it's like early February now.
Okay.
So that's why they were being all like cagey about the end of the semester. They were trying to do this ritual.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Well, so Bunny is the douchey type to find a soft spot and then continually make fun of it.
Yeah.
Like he sees Henry as uncomfortable about the whole murder, and he likes to assert control or dominance by bringing it up and jabbing at him. He's like, "Tee hee, I know about the murder."
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a very typical I want to say narcissistic trait.
Hmm.
No, not necessarily narcissistic. I think that's closer to sociopathy.
Could be. Well, and Bunny was apparently also a terrible roommate in Italy over the holiday. Henry tells Richard that he had brought him to Italy to keep him happy,
Uh-huh.
and Bunny just spent and spent and bought tons of stuff, always wanting more, and Henry bought him everything.
Henry, you don't have the money for that.
Well, Henry does have a lot of money, but like,
Not that much.
yeah. So Henry left Italy early. He ditched Bunny. He does legitimately have migraines.
Okay.
And then he found Richard. So we're all caught up now.
Okay.
So Richard is like, "So is Bunny blackmailing you?" And Henry's like, "No, Bunny's just an idiot and feels entitled. So like unintentional blackmail maybe?"
Yeah.
So,
Seems pretty intentional to me, but
yeah. Well, it's not like Bunny is saying, "Buy me this thing or I'll turn you into the police." He's just like, "Tee hee, I know about the murder."
yeah, that's like the same thing.
Yeah,
You understand how that's
the same thing.
Yeah.
And then Henry says, "I feel bad about the whole thing with the dead man, but not bad enough to go to jail." Henry.
I think this is an everyone sucks here situation.
Oh yeah, this book. All the characters in this book are so insane.
Yeah.
I'm a big fan.
Yeah.
All right, so Henry says that Bunny is jealous of Richard because Bunny thinks the rest of them are like pulling in Richard as a friend and pushing Bunny out.
Well, yeah, they are.
Well, yeah, they are. So he says that Richard shouldn't let on to Bunny that he knows about the murder because then Bunny will feel like even worse or something.
Yeah, because then Bunny will just blab.
Yeah. So the next day, Richard finds Bunny with Charlie and Carmilla, and she is doing his ironing and seems quite disgruntled about it. They're all trying to keep him happy.
Uh-huh.
And then he's like, "We should go to France next summer holiday."
No.
Yeah.
Someone just tell him no.
Yeah, well,
Please.
they're all scared he's going to blab about the murder.
Just tell him no. And then kill him if he says he's gonna blab about the murder. You've already done it once. Like,
Well, Charlie pulls Richard aside and says, he's like, "Henry shouldn't have told you. I'm sorry. He shouldn't have put that on you. That was kind of mean. It was kind of a douchey move."
meanwhile, Richard's like, no, I asked for this.
I wanted to be part of the in-group here.
Yeah.
All right, so Charles, Carmilla, Henry Francis, and Richard all go hang out. Not Bunny. So
Yeah.
the five of them are going closer. Like, they drive around, they go to dinner, they consider buying some property, all the things.
Yeah, just average college student
Average
things.
rich college student things. And over a couple of weeks, Richard observes Bunny as, like, he's following his own routine, but he's, like, being erratic in it and kind of disturbed. Like, for example, one weekend at Francis's summer mansion, one night Richard hears Bunny yelling at Henry that he doesn't care about anything except himself. Which is true.
Yeah.
Henry is, he's something.
I mean, all of them are pretty self-absorbed,
Yeah.
actually.
And Bunny's general behavior is just angry at everyone. Like, he bugs Charles by poking at his drinking habits. Charles is a bit more of a drunk than the rest of them.
Uh-huh.
He bugs Francis by making fun of his gayness. Francis is gay, apparently.
Okay.
And he even goes at Richard for his, like, spotty history and not very nice clothing. And Richard's like, yeah, he was alienating the one neutral party here. Because prior, Richard liked all of them equally. But then with Bunny pushing fun at him, it pushed him towards the others.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, Richard, why were you neutral? Why are you still friends with these guys who murdered someone?
Yeah, also, I definitely think that Richard's going to kill Bunny at the end of this.
Well, and I mean, it's weird, just because Bunny always made distasteful jokes.
Yeah.
But now they're taking over.
Yeah.
And like there's nothing good about him anymore. He's just mean.
I think it's more that people are like finally realizing, oh, I didn't have to put up with this.
Yeah, this guy kind of sucks.
Yeah, this guy has sucked the entire time.
Mhm. So like Bunny tormented Carmilla just for being a girl, and like she's pretty unflappable, except for the one time Bunny suggests that she and Charlie are incesting it up all over the place.
Ugh,
And she's like, just because I won't do it with you doesn't mean I'm doing it with my brother.
very true.
Dang.
Yeah, very true.
Shots fired.
Got him.
So yeah, they pushed him off a cliff after months of cruel pettiness. That hasn't happened yet. Just a reflection. Another reflection from present day Richard.
They all push him off a cliff.
Supposedly. Remember in the prologue he said the narrator and a group of friends were partially responsible for some guy's death. And now I'm like, partially? Richard?
Yeah.
Well. So one day, Richard finds Henry investigating poisonous mushrooms. He wants to poison himself and Bunny. Enough to kill Bunny, but not enough to kill himself, considering Henry is heavier and Bunny eats more. Definitely a terrible idea.
Yeah, that's a bad idea.
And like one day, they're having lunch with Julian, and it's homemade lunch, and there's a course with mushrooms that Henry brought. And we're like, are these poisonous? But no, it turns out Henry is just building trust by supplying good mushrooms now.
Uh-huh.
So he can supply bad mushrooms later and make it look like an accident.
Henry,
Yeah, well,
you're overthinking this.
I mean, even Julian notices him acting weird, talking about like ethics and sin. It's like, are you
Yeah.
okay?
I would say that it's kind of crazy that they haven't gotten caught for that murder yet.
Well, it has been all over the news, and like when they talk about it, it's because they were on this guy's property, like they were
Yeah.
frolicking through the woods, and they were on this guy's property when they beat him up and
Okay.
murdered him, and then they drove back to campus and got all cleaned up, and no one saw them except Bunny.
Okay.
So there is really nothing tying them to
Yeah.
him.
I will also say that one, very difficult to figure out who did it within the first or after the first 48 hours.
Hmm.
In fact, most murder cases become cold cases after 48 hours.
Yeah. Wow.
Second, this is in what, the 80s?
Yeah, 70s, 80s. They have like payphones and
Yeah,
Yeah.
so the police aren't communicating with each other very well.
yeah, and they don't have like DNA.
Well,
No, they had DNA. Sorry, that comes up later.
yeah, they have DNA, but they aren't coordinating with other police agencies just yet, if that
Mhm.
makes sense. They aren't if this happened in two separate counties,
Oh yeah, good point.
one county isn't going to contact the other county in most
Mhm.
cases.
Well, this all comes to a head.
Yeah.
Because one night Bunny comes drunk into Richard's room and tells him about the murder.
Uh-huh.
So, uh-oh.
Thank you, Bunny.
So Richard tells the others because he's worried that if Bunny told him, then he might tell other people as well.
Uh-huh.
And Henry shares that concern. So the next night, while Carmilla is out keeping an eye on Bunny, Henry comes up with a different idea because the mushroom idea is a bad idea, shockingly.
Yeah.
For a hiking accident.
Push him off a cliff.
Because Bunny often goes for walks when it's nice out, and
Mhm.
it's like Hampton's a small college, like in the wilderness. So,
Yeah.
let's do it tomorrow.
Okay.
So the plan is to wait by this ravine that he usually walks by and push him off. And if the push doesn't kill him, there's a small river at the bottom that they can drown him in.
Okay.
And Charles is the main one arguing against premeditated murder. He's like, maybe this is a bad idea.
Charles, you've already done it once.
Well,
What's another body under your
I
belt?
mean, what's spur of the moment murder versus premeditated murder? I think those are different.
Oh, they're very different.
Yeah, and I think like even the way police charge them are different.
They are.
Yeah.
It's manslaughter. Well, it's not manslaughter.
Manslaughter is more of like an accident, but it is your fault.
It's the degrees of murder.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, anyway, Richard heads home. He's not being asked to come tomorrow, so he's not being asked to participate.
Oh, but he's gonna.
But he knows about it, right?
He's gonna participate.
And then he runs into Carmilla on the way back, and he kisses her, and she's like, "Nah."
Yeah.
And
She's like, you're not as good as my brother.
well, the next day, Richard's like very aware that this is gonna happen, but he sees Bunny go to a party instead of on his walk. So he's like, oh, he's not gonna go for his walk today. He only usually goes on it every day.
Yeah.
So Richard goes to tell the guys at the ravine that Bunny isn't coming.
Yeah.
And The twins are like, "Oh crap, it's Sunday. We were gonna have him over for dinner, but we don't have anything to eat." Henry is annoyed. He's like, "What do you mean you forgot?" And they say, "Listen, when you wake up with the intent to murder someone, you don't think about what you're going to feed their corpse for dinner."
That's very true.
So they're just arguing. Anyway, so Bunny shows up. He partied and then went on his walk.
Okay.
Yeah, so present day Richard is reflecting on how he doesn't think there are bad people. Sorry, the inflection was wrong. He doesn't think that they are bad people,
Okay.
but no one thinks that they're bad people.
Yeah.
Also, it was awful to watch Bunny fall. It seemed to take forever. But also, like, murder is so easy. You just push him off a cliff. Richard, are you okay?
Very clearly not. He murdered someone.
Well, it apparently takes them a long time to come to the terms that they had actually murdered their friend. Because they had talked about it so much that it became like a game until they actually did it.
I don't think that he was really their friend at the end. You know what I mean?
You don't think Bunny was?
No. In fact, I don't think he was their friend to begin with. He was kind of a jerk the entire time.
That's true. Well, anyway, so Henry is reviewing alibis so that, none of them will be implicated.
Yep.
But then it starts snowing, and it's quite late in the year for a blizzard.
Oh.
Recall the prologue
Yeah.
about there being a huge snowstorm.
That covered up this murder.
Yeah. Well, anyway, so they split. Henry goes home. He goes and parties with his roommate. He hooks up with some girl.
I mean, it's a good way to get over Carmilla very quickly.
Yeah, a good way to get over murder.
That too, yeah.
All right. So the next morning, Francis comes up to Richard's room, and they start hooking up.
I knew it! I knew it!
That Richard is gay?
Yeah.
Well.
Bisexual.
Okay, yeah. But then they're interrupted by Charles.
Oh.
So they don't actually do it. And he's coming in to give an update from Henry that there's no news. Like, no one's reported Bunny dead.
Do you want to join in, Charles?
What?
Do you want to join in, Charles?
Well.
You already had an orgy with Francis.
Right.
So, like...
Richard just feels like the others are handling this whole thing better than him. Like, he's having nightmares. But, maybe they're just not showing their pain to him.
Yeah.
Alright, so it's been 3 days of Bunny missing class.
Uh-huh.
And it's like they want anyone to report him missing besides them.
Yeah.
So Carmilla's like, "Yeah, Julian, we haven't seen Bunny." And then Henry calls Bunny's girlfriend to mention, "Oh, I haven't seen him," to try to make her worry to report him missing. But she says a friend saw him. It's like, huh? Must have been a mistake, but
Uh-huh.
Alright. So they eventually go to some other friend that they have. Some other guy. He's also a dealer around campus. And he says he hasn't seen a lot of Bunny around, but has also noticed him with a lot of cash in the past few weeks. And more than usual, because Bunny's usually broke.
Yeah.
But, we know all that cash is from Henry just paying for everything for him.
Yeah.
But he's like, maybe he started dealing and he went out of town.
Ooh.
So he and Charles go to break into Bunny's room to see if his stuff is gone or not. So Henry has Charles insist also to call the girlfriend in, with the theory now that she'll call the police if we see that Bunny's room is like all as usual, nothing's packed, all his wallet is still there.
Yeah.
And then Charles is worried because he found a newspaper copy about the first murder in his room.
Uh-huh.
Because we know that Bunny knows that they did that first murder, but no
Yeah.
one else does. So he hides that. But he's also feeling guilty about the murder. Charles is.
Uh-huh.
Alright. So the next day, he has been reported missing. Bunny has.
Okay.
So the police come to question Charles and Bunny, as, Bunny's known friends.
Charles and Bunny.
Charles and Henry.
There you go.
Charles and Henry. And, police and reporters have set up organizing search parties in the mountains.
Okay.
So should they, as students in general, help with the search party? Probably. So Henry, Francis, and Richard go over. And they watch the news on TV. There's some false reports on Bunny's last movements. So that's all overall just, making it harder for them to find him.
Okay.
So they search party again the next day. Francis and Richard powwow about how neither are attracted to each other. It was just a circumstance that had them starting to make out.
Sure.
So they're not going to do that again.
Sure.
Then Bunny's parents and brothers have arrived. And his parents kind of suck. They tell their kids that money is super important, but not to work for it, so they push all their kids out with the instructions to mooch. Which seems like bad parenting.
Seems like that's exactly what Bunny was doing.
Mm-hmm. He's quite good at it. And now the
Unfortunately.
FBI has gotten involved because there were those rumors about drugs.
Yeah.
And they question Charles because he went to Bunny's room, so like fingerprinted him. The other guy in the room is spreading the story. He thinks Bunny was kidnapped by drug dealers. They
Ooh.
have Bunny's fingerprints from the Boy Scouts, so
That's a weird.
that's why they're taking fingerprints, because they have his.
I'm just like thinking to myself, why does the Boy Scouts need your fingerprints?
That's a great question. I was in the Girl Scouts for like 1 year. I don't think they took my fingerprints,
Yeah, that's weird. I was never in the Boy Scouts.
so you can't tell whether or
Yeah.
not. All right. Well, anyway, so Richard gets punched by the guy who was dating the girl he slept with, so that's nice.
Understandable reaction.
Yeah.
I don't condone it, but understandable.
And then Richard asks Carmilla about the night in the woods. You know, when they invoke Dionysus. And she says she doesn't remember much. It felt like sometimes there was a fifth person, question mark, which Carmilla says was Dionysus. But she also says that a couple days after the first murder, Henry had them kill a piglet and soak in its blood because blood purifies blood or something. So soaking in the blood of this piglet would purify them of the murder of the first guy.
Was there enough blood to soak in it?
Apparently.
From a piglet? Like a full-grown pig, I can see.
Like, never mind the very cultish nature of that. But...
Yeah, well, they're already a cult in my mind. Okay, we're far beyond that.
Well, anyway, it's been another day or two, and the search party enthusiasm is waning.
Mhm.
So the group goes out for dinner and drinks, and then it rains all night. The snow is melting. And that day, some girl walking her dog finds Bunny's body.
All right.
All right, so discussion with the FBI. It's likely not going to be ruled a suicide because they found dirt under his fingernails like he was grabbing at the rock as he fell. Carmilla is looking kind of green at this.
Let's back up a second. You mean it still could be an accident at that point? He could have just been falling and.
Yeah. Well, yeah, so they think like he didn't intentionally kill himself.
Yeah.
So, yeah, like it was, they're like, yeah, it was probably an accident because he was drunk.
Yeah.
And the grief around campus becomes performative and hysterical.
Yeah.
You know, small college vibes.
Yeah.
And Bunny's family requests an autopsy just to check, but it was like he was drunk and he broke his neck when he fell. So.
Okay.
So Richard's feeling guilty, drunk, sleepless, you know.
The usual.
Yeah. And the funeral's soon. So Bunny is going down as one of those like teen cautionary tales, like drunk driving, but against drunk hiking, I guess.
That's a reasonable thing though.
Yeah.
Don't be drunk while you're hiking in a dangerous area.
Yeah, next to a ravine.
Yeah.
So for the funeral, they travel out to Connecticut to Bunny's parents' house. And Richard finds it difficult to be around Bunny's brothers who resemble him. And everyone's kind of losing it. Like, Richard steals drugs from Bunny's mom to give to Henry. Charles takes Francis's convertible out in the pouring rain, driving around drunk. Some of them get stoned the morning of the funeral. Everyone's losing it.
Yeah.
And
Hey, this looks like grief-stricken teenagers.
indeed. And the service is also performative by the guests, just like everyone just sobbing and yeah. So we get to the graveyard. Richard is feeling an existential crisis about burying Bunny. Henry is pallbearing, not looking like he's having a great time.
Yeah.
I think he's having a migraine attack.
Uh-huh.
But we're back to classes next week. And it feels weird having one less number. More specifically, Richard is having nightmares, the twins are fighting, Charles is drinking even more, Henry's been ill. But at the same time, it seems like a weight has been lifted. There's no threat of Bunny telling. But also the guilt. So, who can say if it was a good idea or not?
Yeah, truly.
Alright, so in the middle of the night, Francis calls Richard, and he's like, oh my god, you have to take me to the hospital. I think I'm having a heart attack. He's acting erratically, though, like maybe it's a panic attack. So the ER doctor recommends a therapist for poor Francis.
Okay.
And Richard tells Charles about this. Charles has lost some weight. And Charles says, don't tell Henry, because he's getting too much in on everyone's business at handling the, premeditated murder. Like, Henry's very commanding.
Controlling?
Yeah, controlling. So, that night, they all have dinner. Carmilla's wearing a pretty dress, and Richard is like, I love her.
Richard, get over it.
Richard, she has shown no signs of interest.
Not only has she shown no signs of interest, but the one time you kissed her, she was like, eh. Like,
Literally.
Like, I'm gonna be so for real. If I like had interest in someone and then kissed them and that's how they reacted, I would be gone. It would be so fast that I would say, "Nope, I'm done
Sorry,
here.
my
So, I'm
bad.
so sorry." Like never again. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? Like
Yeah, well, these guys are back to their normal routine, but in the middle of the night, a few nights later, Henry comes by Richard's apartment. And apparently Charles is in jail for drunk driving Henry's car. So
right.
Henry tells Richard to go get Henry out of jail, and he hands him a blank check. Apparently Henry can't do it. So the police say, so he goes over. The police say the bail will be set in the morning. Come back then. There wasn't an accident. He just got pulled over and failed the breathalyzer.
Yep.
So Richard calls Henry, who says he needs to avoid the police for reasons. And the Bunny
Okay.
case might be less closed than we thought. Like
Uh-huh.
maybe they were close to figuring it out.
Uh-huh.
Well, anyway, we wait until the morning. At 9 a.m., they set bail, and Charles gets out. Richard pays for it, and they're walking home. And they're both like, ugh, Henry is so bossy. Why do we always follow his orders?
Also, Henry paid for it, not Richard.
Yeah, Richard doesn't have any money. Henry paid for it. He handed Richard a blank check.
You said Richard paid for it?
Well, Richard paid for it with the check from Henry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But Henry paid for it.
Yeah. Okay. But Richard is the one in court paying the bail.
I know no one can see my shit-eating grin, but
This is an audio medium.
yeah.
All right. So Charles is telling Richard about the FBI almost figuring it out. They thought that Henry was sussy, and they figured out that Henry and Bunny fought in Rome,
Mm-hmm.
and they probably thought Henry and Bunny both were involved with drugs, and they also found out about the plane tickets to Argentina. So overall, they're looking a little suspicious.
Yeah.
But because Henry was basically paying Bunny off, it looks like Bunny had bigger money, but also that Henry was throwing so much money in that maybe Henry had bigger drug money.
Yeah.
So anyway, it was a whole mess. And then finding the body and then the college trying to cover it up saved them. So
Okay.
it did not become a drug mess. But Charles did not handle being with the police so much because he
Yeah.
was the one who was questioned the most. All right, so they've gotten home by this point, and they're in Charles's apartment. And Carmilla comes in, and Charles full face kisses her. She does not encourage or stop it. He just kisses her, and then they move on. So later, Richard goes by Francis's place.
Who witnessed this?
Richard does. And
Okay.
then Richard asks Francis, "Are Charles and Carmilla doing it?" And he's like, "Yes." Ew.
Oh. Yeah, that's gross.
And Richard's like kind
Oh.
of into it.
Oh, Richard. Do you remember my joke when I was like, "You don't kiss as well as my brother"?
Yeah, I know. Also, Francis and Charles have done it too.
Well, of course they have. They
But
were in an orgy, remember?
No, like separately. They have done it alone, and apparently only when Charles is drunk enough to deny memory of it the next day.
I see.
Charles isn't that good about it.
Uh-huh.
So, Carmilla, she likes to lead boys on, apparently. She's doing it with both Henry and Richard, and Charles is possessive over her. Gross.
Yeah, this is so the only one she isn't sleeping with is Richard.
Maybe she didn't sleep with Bunny. She probably mostly slept with Charles.
Yeah. And
Maybe
then
with
also
Henry?
did Henry and Richard.
Yeah. Well, Francis is saying he's still having anxiety symptoms. Like, there's been no tests that show bad results, so he's just has anxiety from the murder.
Yeah.
And Richard's like, "Have I thrown my lot in with a terrible group of friends?"
Richard,
Yes,
you are
Richard.
equally terrible.
Richard, you're such an idiot.
Yeah.
Well, anyway, we have an interesting update. It turns out Carmilla has moved out of her and Charles's place to a very fancy place. How can she afford this? Henry. They're staying together. Huh? So Francis thinks they're doing it,
Okay.
or Henry is trying very hard to convince Charles that they're doing it.
Okay.
These guys are so dysfunctional.
They are. They're very dysfunctional.
Yeah. So a few nights later, Richard finds Charles sleeping outside and feverish, mumbling about Bunny. So, and through the next day, he maintains a pretty high fever, so he brings him to the hospital. After, of course, asking Henry what to do. Because no one is capable of making a single decision without Henry.
Yeah.
And he has bronchitis, and he's a bit malnourished. So he has to stay in the hospital for a while.
Okay.
Charles calls Richard the next morning asking for a couple things to be brought by, including a bottle of scotch. which can't be good for him. But Henry and Francis say that he definitely should bring it, otherwise Charles might have withdrawal.
His alcoholism is out of control.
Yeah.
If he's able to have withdrawal, ugh.
So Henry doesn't come to the hospital, but he shoves money onto Richard to buy gifts for Charles. Henry. Anyway, so Charles is upset about Carmilla. But Francis says he shouldn't tell Carmilla how sick Charles is. Because again, Charles and Carmilla are fighting, and Carmilla moved out.
Yeah.
However, we've just said that we shouldn't tell Carmilla how sick Charles is. But Carmilla stops by Richard's room. So she finds out.
Yeah.
But she also says that Charles is physically abusive. And she shows Richard cigarette burns, bruised arms, pulled out hair. And she's staying under Henry's protection, basically because Charles is afraid of Henry.
Oh, do you think that it was non-consensual, the twin boning?
Maybe.
That,
I mean,
this like heavily implies that, I
these
think.
guys are messed up.
Yeah.
Like, everyone in this story is so messed up.
Yeah.
So Richard suspects, has Henry been using me? Because, like, did he lead me to discover the first murder
Yes.
and the plane tickets to
Yes,
pull me
he
in?
did.
Because then Henry used Richard as an alert for Bunny, because he figured that Richard would be the first person that Bunny told.
Yeah.
So if Bunny told Richard, it is time to, like...
Commit murder.
Yeah.
Again.
So, yeah, Richard is also just a pawn for Henry.
Yeah, everyone is.
Mm-hmm. Also, Richard's been taking a lot of drugs. He can't sleep without them.
What kind of drugs? Probably downers.
I think both.
But really?
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Maybe not at the same time. Just lots of drugs.
Yeah.
And one day he visits Henry, and Richard accuses Henry of being callous. He is, but that's neither here nor there. And then Henry says he's never felt much. He's always been bored or depressed. But the night he killed the first guy, he was, like, liberated or something.
Henry, you're literally a psychopath.
And now he knows that he can do anything he wants. And he's like, Richard, you feel the same way, don't you? You
No.
felt powerful after killing Bunny. Like, nothing really matters.
No.
No, guys.
He's literally a psychopath.
So, a week into Charles in the hospital,
Uh-huh.
Richard, Francis, and Julian go to lunch. And Julian says he got a letter from Bunny.
Actually, no, that is sociopathic, not psychopathic.
Sociopathic, understood.
Psychopathic is you don't really feel any emotion doing anything. You're just kind of like, you just want to do it.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, anyway, Richard and Francis are going to lunch with Julian. And Julian says he got a letter from Bunny, but that letter was mistakenly put in someone else's box that hadn't been checked in months, so we don't know how long it's been there.
Okay.
Okay. So Julian thinks it's a prank, and kind of a cruel prank, because again, Bunny's dead. And it's ranting about how someone, Richard and Francis think it's Henry. This person is a monster, he killed that guy in the woods, he's gonna kill me too. There are other accusations in there, like Charles and Carmilla doing it. And again, Julian doesn't think it's real, but Richard and Francis are like, oh crap, it's real.
Yeah.
And one of the pages is stationery from the hotel in Italy, so it can definitely be traced back to Bunny. But
Yeah.
Julian hasn't noticed that yet. Uh-oh, but he might notice it and realize the letter is real.
Yeah.
So they're in a bind. Okay. So the plan. They finally find Henry and ask him what to do because they're incapable of doing anything without Henry.
Let me guess. Henry plans on killing Julian.
No, they don't do that. So Henry has a key to Julian's office. For some reason.
Yeah.
They'll go find him and break in to steal the letter. Problem, they can't find Henry. So they go to Carmilla's place and they find Henry.
Uh-huh.
Sorry, they don't find Henry. He's already at Julian's.
Oh.
So they race back to Julian's office.
Okay.
And Francis thinks that Julian wouldn't turn them in.
Yeah.
But, like, we don't know that. So Richard goes to Julian's office where Henry is to try to, like, get the letter before Julian sees it. But he has seen the logo.
Yeah.
So Julian now knows that the letter is real and that these kids killed Bunny.
Yeah.
So he asks Henry to explain, and he does. And Henry's actually quite nervous.
I mean, Henry just blabs to everyone
Yeah.
so far.
Well, yeah. And then Julian gives Henry the letter, and Richard and Henry leave. And narrator Richard says this is the last time he ever saw Julian. So supposedly he does not turn them in.
Why is this the last time he ever saw Julian, though? Did he drop out of college or something?
Great question. All right, so what happens next is that Charles is released from the hospital. He immediately goes and gets drunk.
Yep, as you do.
Yep. And then the next day, Julian doesn't come to class. So the dean arrives and says he has taken a leave of absence and left, and that he says ultimately the college will cease to offer a classics degree, which is their degree. And Richard is worried that he won't be able to graduate due to the extra terms that would be needed for him to switch to English literature.
Really? Really?
That's the only thing he's worried about.
Oh.
So Richard is chatting with Henry, and Henry says Julian was a coward. He didn't care that they killed Bunny. He just didn't want to be involved, so he left.
That is okay. That's not cowardly. That is so reasonable. Like, not the not caring part, but like, I don't want to be involved with this at all. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, and Henry's really shook up because basically all of these kids thought of Julian as a better father figure than their own.
He probably still is.
Well, yeah. So Henry's just like, geez, if you should have just turned us in and showed some backbone.
Henry, shut up. What? This
Henry's
is,
never happy.
well, no, this is another thing that happens a lot with like serial killers is they just like they want to get caught at some point.
Mm-hmm.
I think
Like they want to have the recognition.
yes, they want the recognition. I think even at one point, I want to say it was Bundy who joked about this, but he's like, it was one famous serial killer. They're like, yeah, you know, the first time everything's like so calculated and so planned, but then by the 14th time you're like, oh, I forgot to put the wrench back, you know? Yeah.
Yeah. Well, anyway, so they get a sub in for the end of the term. The term only has 2 weeks left, and they get a sub in from like some other nearby college, and they speak better Greek than the sub. So it's kind of awkward.
All right.
But whatever. So Charles and Henry are outright fighting about Carmilla staying with Henry. However, Charles and Henry have to appear in court together soon for the car issue.
Yeah.
And if they can't be like
Civil.
it'll be really bad because this judge is known to be harsh on drunk drivers.
Mm-hmm.
He like very well might order Charles to a detox or to jail.
Which he probably needs.
Yeah.
One of them, if not both.
Yeah, but Henry's being like, well, I lent him the car. He didn't steal it. It was the whole thing.
Yeah.
They might like try to remove the car from Henry. Who knows? So Francis, Carmilla, and Richard decide it's best to have Charles skip court because he'll be ruled guilty, but like he can't make it worse for himself.
If this is a mandatory appearance, that is very bad.
Well,
And I want to say that most DUIs are mandatory appearance.
well, maybe the author of this novel doesn't understand the rules about DUIs and the social work involved.
Uh-huh.
So, they're at Francis's country house for a couple days, and Henry calls.
Yeah.
Now, Charles has been kind of paranoid about Henry. He's like, don't tell Henry we're here. He can't know. So, unfortunately, Charles overhears this call, even though Henry just called looking for them because he hasn't seen them in a couple days.
Yeah.
So, he takes the car and leaves, and we can't find Charles anywhere. He's probably drunk driving again.
Of course.
So, Richard and Francis go to see Carmilla and Henry. And Henry is like, Charles is becoming quite the problem. Maybe we should hire a private nurse to detox him.
I thought you were about to say, maybe we should kill him.
Right? He really does give off that vibe. Maybe we should just kill all of our problems.
I mean, that is kind of what those types of people do.
Yeah. Well, anyway, Charles shows up drunk and with a gun.
Okay.
So, the gun is shot 4 times. One hits the window, one goes through Richard's abdomen. No one really notices.
Except for Richard.
Except for Richard. So, Henry has gotten the gun from Charles at this point. Everyone's like, oh my god, what do we do?
What about the other two?
They're not mentioned. Probably just like in the wall or something.
Uh-huh.
But like, Richard notices.
Who was he aiming for? Was he just
Henry?
shooting?
I think he was kind of aiming at Henry, but like Carmilla was standing in front of Henry, like, don't shoot him. Then he just kind of shot it wildly a few times.
Uh-huh.
So, yeah, like Richard notices the window break, and then he notices himself get shot.
These guys suck.
Well, just you wait. So everyone's like, oh my god, what do we do?
No, stop. How does it get worse? There's no way. How does this get worse?
Okay. So, the innkeeper is knocking at the door.
Because there were gunshots.
Because he heard gunshots, and everyone's panicking. And the innkeeper comes in. So then Henry kisses Carmilla, says, I love you, and then shoots himself.
Huh? Henry.
Epilogue.
No, you can't just.
It's okay. It's a big epilogue. Some epilogues are short. This is a long epilogue.
Okay.
So, Richard is fine.
Obviously.
Luckily, like, the bullet missed most of the things, so, like, he's fine.
Yeah.
He just got sewed up and whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Henry dies.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. So everyone assumes that Henry had the gun and was suicidal because he shot himself.
Right.
And then there was a struggle for the gun, which is how Richard ended up shot, and then Henry killed himself.
Yeah.
So, that's the story. Over the summer, Francis started seeing a doctor, like a therapist.
Yeah.
Good for Francis. And Francis and the twins don't come back to college next term.
Uh-huh.
Only Richard does. But Charles supposedly stops drinking, so that's good.
That is good. Does
Yeah.
he stop banging his sister?
Well, maybe.
You could hope, right?
Well, hold on. Let me keep telling you. So the four lose touch: Charles, Carmilla, Francis, and Richard. They don't talk much, but Richard ends up graduating with that degree in English literature.
Okay.
He even had a steady girlfriend.
Good for him.
And they moved back to California with Richard in a graduate fellowship, but then they broke up 6 months in.
Oof.
So, in grad school, a couple years later, Richard receives a suicide note letter from Francis. Like, just he receives a letter in the mail that's like, I'm sorry, goodbye, you know.
Yeah.
So he flies out and finds Francis alive. His attempt had failed. So that's something.
Okay.
Apparently, Francis's grandfather has found out he's gay, so he's getting married to a lady to appease his grandfather. And Carmilla also arrives to check on Francis because she also got a letter. And then they just kind of release Francis the next day. There's no psychological hold or anything.
Which is wild.
Yeah.
I guess that's the 80s for you.
So, update about Charles, because he's not here. Carmilla says he's been intermittent on and off of drink, and he ran off of some lady he met in rehab to Texas, and he's been working for a living, and they don't really talk anymore.
Good.
So they're probably not banging anymore.
They shouldn't.
Yeah. Yeah, and Francis is like, I thought I saw Henry when I was dying. 'Cause he, like, slit his wrist in his attempt.
Yeah.
And Richard's like, weird, I also thought I saw him when I was in the hospital recovering from the gunshot. Ghosts, huh? And then Richard and Carmilla are chatting. And, she thinks Henry killed himself to be kind of like when Julian wasn't being accountable, he was like, I'll be accountable, I'll save everyone. Because then Charles won't get in trouble for, like, having the gun.
Yeah.
So that's why Henry was like, haha, this is the best decision. So, anyway, Richard then says, I love you, Carmilla, let's get married.
And she says no.
She does say no.
Like...
She loves Henry. And Richard's like, Henry's dead. And she's like, yeah, well, you know.
That's too bad.
And Richard apparently has not seen her since in the past several years.
Richard needs to get the hint the first time, actually.
Yeah, well, anyway, the last bullet point I have, recently Richard had a dream about Henry.
Okay.
And it was kind of weird. It was almost like a real conversation in a very futuristic museum. And then Henry's like, sorry, I have an appointment to be at. And then he leaves Richard alone in his discontent. And that's the book.
These people are all insane.
They are all insane. Richard, you just joined a cult when you got into college.
Yeah. Also, why didn't they do the ritual of Dionysus again? I felt like that would be a good thing for them to do again.
You thought they should do it again?
Yeah.
What could have happened the second time?
No murder, hopefully. I was hoping they'd delve more into that supernatural stuff.
No,
but
actually...
no, instead they were just like, ghosts, question mark?
Yeah. I mean, there is not a sequel, so, like, that kind of teaser about Henry is kind of just like, eh. Though, I don't know, I've read a couple of differing opinions online where some people think they were all just high off their balls and hallucinating.
Yeah.
And, like, there's, like, one guy who wrote an opinion that he thinks it was actually real. But either way, it doesn't really matter, because ultimately this book is a novel about the
Insane
aftermath
people.
of murder.
Yeah, insane people.
Yeah, the aftermath of murder and insane people.
Yeah.
So, I really liked it.
I mean, it was enjoyable, but oh my gosh.
It was it's like watching a train derail.
Yeah.
It's It's like, ooh, let's murder Bunny. Great idea.
Yes, Richard, I murdered someone.
And Richard's like, I guess I only asked because I knew it was already true. And you're like, what?
How? You
Well,
saw 4 one-way plane tickets and that's the first thing you assumed?
well, to be fair, Richard, the narrator, is telling the story with like hindsight bias.
Yeah, but
So he could
in the
be being a
moment he
little
knew. He knew
unreliable.
to ask right then.
Well, maybe. Oh well, it could be Richard, the narrator's just like, I knew it. Whereas Richard in the present was like, did you murder someone? Like, why else would you need to flee the country?
There are a number of reasons to want to flee the country.
Yeah. Well, the first one Richard asks about is murder.
Yeah, okay.
It turned out to be the right one.
Uh-huh.
So,
These people are insane.
they are insane. Did you like the book?
Yeah, it was pretty enjoyable. What was the name of it again?
The Secret History.
The Secret History.
I suppose it being all the murder is the secret.
Yeah, not very secret, to be honest with you.
Well, I mean, to be fair, ultimately Richard, Carmilla, Charles, and Francis get away with it.
Yeah.
I mean, Bunny dies and Henry dies.
How long after the murder is Richard narrating?
So narrator Richard is 28, so it's probably been at least like 5 or 6 years.
Okay. There have been murderers who have been caught after 10 years.
Wow.
And more, actually.
Cold cases, huh?
Yeah. Well, the one I'm thinking of is a guy who killed his entire family and then staged it to look like the Manson murders, which is like a group of hippies that murdered people.
Mhm.
The cops like immediately knew it was him, but because of various reasons couldn't like pin it on him
Mhm.
until like a good 10 years later after he had like done a whole media circus thing where he was like
Wow.
on a bunch of different talk shows and was like, yeah, I can't believe this happened to me, you know. He was talking about himself the entire time rather than his dead family, including his infant daughter.
Of course.
Yeah. And what's really scary is that there's a lot of theories that the first like 2 murders that he committed on his wife and young daughter, not the infant, were like a fit of rage, whereas the last one, the infant, he knew he had to do to get away with it, so he did it cold-bloodedly. Yeah.
I know. I feel like the like total collapse of the sanity of these characters throughout the novel was like pretty well written because, they have the first murder,
Yeah.
which was an accident, supposedly.
I'm gonna be so for real with you. These guys had barely any sanity to begin with.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's do this Dionysus ritual.
Yeah, let's invoke Well, remember Henry is being like, nothing in life is worth it. It's all so boring. So he was trying to like find meaning by invoking Dionysus.
Yeah, he just wanted to do a bunch of drugs.
Yeah. So, they did this first murder, which they didn't mean to do, and I don't really remember it well. Right, it just kind of happened while they were super high.
I'm putting big air quotes on didn't mean to do because that, let's be so real.
I mean, it definitely sounds like it was mostly Henry, because Henry's always described as like a huge dude and
Yeah.
super buff. So,
Brain matter everywhere.
yeah. So, but, then going from that to premeditated murder of Bunny, they were all, like, before they did the murder, they were all considering it as, like, the same thing, but afterward, everything just,
Was different.
yeah, it all falls apart. It's like, oh, actually, like, planning the murder of someone who was our friend versus,
It's a lot easier to distance yourself from something you did on quote unquote accident versus something you planned for in
yeah.
advance.
Mm-hmm.
Because you at least can justify to yourself, oh, I was on drugs, I wasn't in control
Yeah.
of myself,
Mm-hmm.
Actually, a lot of serial killers do similar things to justify it to themselves, or like will get themselves hammered to work up to it,
God.
which is also how they get a lot of them in court to show that
Oh.
they're not insane. Because they had to know it was bad to want to get drunk enough to do it.
It's like, maybe if you have to get drunk to do it, you shouldn't do it? Like...
Yeah. No. More so, it's not something you should do, so you have to work up the nerve by
Mhm.
getting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my God. So, yeah, what a book.
Yeah. Crazy.
So, I don't have any other dark academia on my list, so maybe I'll have to find another one
Yeah, maybe.
for some more murder.
We'll space it out a little bit.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
don't remember. Did Babel have murder?
Yes. Yes, it did.
It did have the professor who like murdered the mom.
They bombed several people, Laura.
Well, yeah. And well, and then they whole killed themselves at the end.
And also the revolution.
Oh yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah. Like.
I don't know. I mean, like, yeah, it had like death, but I was like, did the main characters do murder until like right at the end there?
eh.
Oh well. Thank you for reading The Secret History with me, Tom. I quite enjoyed telling you about it.
Well, thank you for telling me all about it. I quite enjoyed giving commentary.
About how these crazy kids.
Yeah, crazy is the right word.
These crazy kids. Richard, you have a great knack for picking a friend group.
It certainly does.
If you see a red flag, such as a professor being very classist, your friends being very classist, your friends murdering someone,
Maybe get out of there.
maybe don't ignore that huge red flag.
Maybe talk to the police,
Mm-hmm.
before you're an accomplice to murder.
Before you do the next murder with them.
Yeah.
All right, bye-bye.
Bye-bye.